The gilded invitation sat heavy in my hand, its embossed edges glinting like a challenge. I'm Liana Morgan, a woman who spent decades quietly building a legacy of kindness through my anonymous fund, choosing simplicity over flash to test the hearts around me. Betrayed by those I loved, I carry my strength in silence, ready to let truth speak louder than their wealth ever could. Clara and Benedict, my in-laws, had sent it for their grand charity gala at the city's finest museum. Decades of pouring my heart into my family, building my secret fund to quietly change lives, and now this, a night where they'd flaunt their wealth and likely try to shrink me down. I sighed, setting it on my plain wooden table, the kind that holds memories, not status. I'd go not for their applause, but to see their true colors under all that shine, to hold a mirror to their hearts. I dug through my closet, fingers grazing the few dresses I kept. I picked a black one, classic, a touch worn but elegant, like a quiet promise I'd made to myself years ago. It felt right, honest, unpretentious. No need for glitter or a new gown to prove my place. I'd enter through the main gate, not their VIP entrance. Let them see me as just another guest. A wry smile crept up. They had no idea what I'd been building all these years. Not yet. The museum sparkled under chandeliers, light dancing on crystal like captured stars. I slipped through the main entrance, blending with the regular crowd, people who didn't need to flash wealth to feel whole. My heels tapped softly on the marble, each step measured. I wanted to see them raw before they hid behind their polished masks. Across the hall, Clara and Benedict swept in, their luxury car still purring outside. Clara's laugh cut through the air, sharp, demanding. Her crimson gown screamed money, her diamond bracelet catching every eye as she shook hands with the elite. Benedict, in a crisp tux, followed, boasting about their generous contributions to the gala. "We've been planning this for months," he said, loud enough to draw nods from nearby guests. I lingered by a sculpture, champagne in hand, watching. Their pride was louder than the music. Ethan arrived with Ivy, my daughter-in-law, who hadn't yet seen the cracks in her parents' glossy world. Ethan's eyes found me, worry creasing his face. "Mom, you okay over here?" His voice was warm but tight, like he thought I'd crumble in this sea of wealth. I touched his arm, smiling. "I'm right where I need to be, Ethan." He didn't know I was here to test them, to see who they really were when the spotlight wasn't theirs. Ivy stood nearby, her emerald dress shimmering. She chatted about the art, excited, but her eyes flicked to her parents, catching something off. "It's going to be an amazing night," she said, her voice bright but thin, like glass about to crack. I nodded, sensing the unease she couldn't name. Poor girl, caught between their world and the truth she'd soon find. Clara called her over and Ivy went, leaving Ethan and me by the sculpture. "They always put on a show, don't they?" I murmured, my voice heavy with years of watching Clara and Benedict parade their status. Ethan shifted, uneasy. "They mean well, Mom. I hope." His doubt stung, but I let it slide. My son, my bridge between their world and mine, torn by love and loyalty. I sipped my champagne, the bubbles sharp, like the truth waiting to surface. Let them play their part. The night was just beginning, and I had my own role to play. The hall hummed with clinking glasses, soft music threading through the chatter. Clara and Benedict worked the room, their voices rising above the crowd. "We're so honored to support the arts," Clara declared to a cluster of donors, her smile sharp as a blade. Benedict added, "It's our responsibility to give back." I rolled my eyes, hidden in the crowd. Responsibility? As if they knew what it meant. They didn't notice me, didn't care to. I was just Ethan's mother, the quiet one who lived simply, who didn't belong in their glittering world. I moved through the guests, catching bits of talk, stocks, villas, last week's auction wins. My dress swished softly, unnoticed, and I liked it that way. Let them overlook me. A woman nearby admired my dress, surprised when I said it was old. "It's timeless," I said, meaning more than the fabric. Ethan caught my eye again, his worry clear. "You sure you're okay, Mom? You can leave if it's too much." His voice held care, but also doubt, like he thought this world would swallow me whole. "Ethan, I'm fine," I said, calm but firm. I'd faced worse than a room full of egos, years of giving, loving, only to be dismissed by people like Clara and Benedict. Their words hadn't cut yet. But they'd try. I glanced at Ivy, laughing with a guest, her parents' pride mirrored in her eyes. She didn't know my fund had paid for her scholarship, the one that gave her a start. Not yet. The MC took the stage, his voice smooth, welcoming the crowd. "Tonight we celebrate art and generosity." The room clapped, Clara and Benedict loudest, their hands heavy with jewelry. I stood back, heart steady but heavy. Years of work? And for what? To be seen as less by those who thought wealth was everything, but I knew better. True wealth was in quiet acts, not loud displays. And tonight, they'd see it too. I found a spot near the room's edge, close enough to hear Clara's laughter, Benedict's boasts. They thought they owned this night. They thought I was nothing. A quiet chuckle slipped out, blending with the music. They didn't know I'd built something bigger than their showy gifts, something that lifted people like Ivy without needing a stage. Let them shine for now. The real light was coming. I'm Liana Morgan, a woman who spent decades quietly building a legacy of kindness through my anonymous fund, choosing simplicity over flash to test the hearts around me. Betrayed by those I loved, I carry my strength in silence, ready to let truth speak louder than their wealth ever could. I stood by the sculpture, the champagne glass cool in my hand, watching Clara glide through the crowd like she owned the room. Her crimson gown caught every light, but her eyes found me, narrowing slightly as she approached. "Liana, dear, you look so simple tonight," she said, her smile sharp, like a blade wrapped in silk. The word simple landed like a slap, meant to remind me I didn't belong in her glittering world. I smiled back, my heart stinging but steady. Let her think she's winning. Benedict joined her, his tuxedo pristine, his nod smug as he surveyed the gala's opulence. "This is what real philanthropy looks like," he said, loud enough for nearby guests to hear, his eyes sliding to me. The implication was clear. My quiet life, my old dress, was somehow less. I sipped my champagne, the bubbles sharp, masking the ache of their dismissal. Years of giving everything, time, love, my secret fund, only to be seen as a burden. They don't know me. Not yet. Ethan hovered nearby, his warm eyes clouded with worry. He stepped closer, voice low. "Mom, you don't have to put up with this." He meant Clara's barb, Benedict's arrogance, but he didn't know how deep their cuts went. I touched his hand, my smile calm. "I'm fine, Ethan, just watching." He was my bridge, caught between my world and theirs. But I could see his hesitation, his fear of rocking the boat. I didn't blame him, not yet. Ivy approached, her emerald dress shimmering, her smile bright but nervous. "Liana, isn't the art amazing? I can't wait for the auction." Her excitement was real, but her eyes flicked to her parents like she was balancing on a tightrope. I nodded, seeing the goodness in her, the part not yet tainted by Clara's pride. "It's a beautiful night, Ivy." She didn't know my fund had paid for her scholarship, didn't know I'd been shaping her future in silence. Soon, she would. Clara's voice cut through the chatter, sharp and deliberate. "You know, Liana, those who live simply, well, They often need a little help." Her smile was all teeth, her words dripping with pity. The crowd nearby quieted, eyes darting between us. My chest tightened, the betrayal of her condescension slicing deep. 40 years of love, reduced to this? I smiled serene, my silence a shield. "Keep talking, Clara." Every word was another crack in her facade. Benedict leaned in, his tone falsely kind. "If you ever need anything, we could, well, arrange a small monthly stipend. For Ethan's sake." His words hit like ice water, suggesting I was a weight on my son. Ethan stiffened beside me, his face flushing. "That's not necessary," he said, his voice sharp but shaky, like he was afraid to fully challenge them. I squeezed his arm, my heart heavy but resolved. Let them dig their hole. Ivy stood frozen, her eyes wide, caught between shame and fear of losing face. "Mom, Dad, maybe we should just enjoy the night," she said, her voice trembling, trying to smooth things over. Clara waved her off, her laugh sharp. "Oh, Ivy, we're just being practical." Practical? As if my life, my choices, were some kind of failure. I kept my smile, but inside, the hurt burned. Years of quiet giving, and they thought I needed their charity? We moved to our seats. Clara and Benedict claiming their VIP spots at the front, their postures screaming importance. I sat a few rows back, my modest place deliberate. Ethan leaned over, whispering, "I'm sorry, Mom." They don't mean it. But they did. I saw it in their eyes, their need to elevate themselves by pushing me down. "It's okay, Ethan," I said, my voice steady. It wasn't okay, but I'd learned long ago to wait for the right moment. The hall glowed with soft music, waitstaff weaving through with trays of hors d'oeuvres. I watched Clara and Benedict charm their way through the elite, their laughter loud, their gestures grand. It was all a performance. A woman nearby complimented my dress, surprised when I said it was old. "It's timeless," I said, and she smiled, not knowing I meant my strength, not just the fabric. I glanced at Ivy, now seated with her parents, her face tight. She was starting to see it. Their arrogance, their control. Benedict caught my eye, his smile patronizing. "Liana, you should think about upgrading your wardrobe. It's, well, important to keep up." I nodded, my face calm, but inside I laughed darkly. "Keep up? I've been miles ahead of you. My fund, my work, had touched lives they'd never understand. Clara and Benedict thought they ruled this night, but I was waiting, watching, ready for the truth to shift the stage. Let them shine a little longer. The real light was coming, and it would burn brighter than their gold. The gala's energy shifted as the MC took the stage, his voice cutting through the chatter like a polished blade. "Let's begin the donations where your generosity lights the way." The crowd erupted in applause, glasses clinking, the room buzzing with the thrill of giving or showing off. I sat quietly, my black dress blending into the shadows of my modest seat, watching Clara and Benedict preen in their VIP spots. Their moment to shine. Or so they thought. My heart ached, not from their arrogance, but from the years I'd poured into love and purpose, only to be dismissed as less. I sipped my champagne, the bubbles sharp, grounding me. Clara stood first, her crimson gown a beacon under the lights. "The Lambert family pledges $50,000 to the arts," she announced, her voice ringing with pride. The crowd cheered, heads turning, whispers spreading about their generosity. Benedict nodded, his smile smug, as if the applause belonged only to them. "It's our privilege to lead by example," he added, his eyes scanning the room for approval. I watched, silent, my fingers tightening around my glass. "Lead? You're just buying applause." Then Clara's gaze found me, her smile sharpening. She leaned toward a nearby guest, but spoke loud enough for me to hear. Those who can't afford much, well, they can still give from the heart." The words hit like a slap, her pity a knife twisted in my chest. The guest nodded, glancing at me with a mix of curiosity and discomfort. My heart burned. Decades of quiet work, building my fund, helping people like Ivy. And she reduced it to this? "You don't know what I've given." I smiled. Serene, my silence my armor. Benedict chimed in, his tone dripping with false kindness. "Liana, if you're ever, well, struggling, we could send a small monthly stipend, so Ethan doesn't have to worry." The air around me thickened, the insult sinking deep. Ethan beside me froze, his face flushing with anger and shame. "That's not fair, Dad," he said, his voice low but sharp, trembling with the effort to stay calm. I touched his arm, my smile steady. "It's okay, Ethan. Let them speak." Inside, I was seething, but I'd learned long ago to wait for the right moment. Ivy sat a few seats away, her hands twisting in her lap, her eyes wide with horror. "Mom, Dad, can we just focus on the gala?" Her voice wavered, caught between defending me and fearing her parents' disapproval. Clara waved her off, her laugh sharp as glass. "Oh, Ivy, we're just being honest." "Honest?" I nearly laughed, a dark, bitter sound caught in my throat. Honest, as if they knew the word. Their honesty was a weapon, meant to belittle, to control. The MC called for more pledges, his voice smooth, keeping the night on track. "Your contributions make a difference." Screens above flashed donation totals, the numbers climbing as guests competed to outshine each other. I leaned back, my heart heavy but resolved. I'd already given a modest sum, slipped in anonymously through my fund. No fanfare, no applause, just the way I'd always done it. That's what matters, not their spotlight. Clara and Benedict didn't know, couldn't know, the lives I'd touched in silence. Ethan leaned closer, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, Mom. They're too much." His eyes held guilt, like he'd failed me by not stopping them. I squeezed his hand, my voice soft but firm. "You don't need to fight this for me, Ethan. I'm stronger than they think." He nodded, but doubt lingered in his eyes, my gentle boy torn between worlds. I glanced at Ivy, her face pale, her fingers still twisting. She was starting to see her parents' cruelty, the cracks in their perfect image. The room buzzed with whispers, guests praising the Lamberts' generosity, their voices feeding Clara's ego. It's all a show. I watched a waitstaff member pass by, balancing a tray of canapes, his face tight after Clara's earlier sharp words to him. I caught his eye, offering a small nod, a silent acknowledgement. He nodded back, a flicker of gratitude in his eyes. That's what they don't see, the small moments that matter. Clara laughed again, her voice carrying over the music, drawing more eyes. "We're just so thrilled to be here," she said to a group of donors, her hand on Benedict's arm. I rolled my eyes, hidden in my seat. Thrilled to be seen, you mean. Their world was built on appearances, on using money to control, to elevate themselves above others, like me. But I'd built something different, something real. And tonight, I'd let it speak. I sat back, my heart steady despite the sting of their words. They thought they'd diminished me, but they'd only revealed themselves. "Keep talking, Clara, Benedict." Every word was a step closer to their unraveling. I glanced at the stage where the MC was preparing for the next segment, the auction looming. The real light is coming. And when it did, it would burn brighter than their gold ever could. The MC's voice boomed, shifting the gala's rhythm as he introduced the auction. "Now the moment you've all been waiting for, our special auction, featuring rare treasures." The crowd leaned forward, eyes gleaming under the chandeliers, the air thick with anticipation. I sat in my modest seat, my black dress a quiet contrast to the flash around me, my heart pounding but steady. This was it. The stage was set. Clara and Benedict, in their VIP seats, sat taller, ready to dominate. I'd spent decades building my fund in silence, betrayed by those I loved, and now their arrogance was about to meet my truth. The first items, a jade vase, a vintage watch, sparked lively bidding. Clara raised her paddle, her crimson gown catching every light. 10,000! She called, her voice sharp, drawing gasps and nods. Benedict followed, outbidding another guest with a smug 15. Their bids were less about the items and more about the spotlight. I watched, my champagne glass cool in my hand, my smile serene. Let them perform. It's all they know. Ethan leaned over, his voice low, worried. Mom, you should bid on something. Have some fun. His eyes held that same doubt, like he thought I'd shrink in this world of wealth. I shook my head, my tone calm but firm. I'm here for more than fun, Ethan. He frowned, not understanding, my gentle boy caught between loyalty and their world. I glanced at Ivy, her emerald dress glowing, her fingers twisting in her lap. She was quieter now, her eyes darting to her parents, sensing their pride was a hollow thing. The main sponsor, a billionaire in a simple suit, sat a few rows ahead, his face unreadable. I'd noticed him earlier watching Clara snap at a waitstaff member over a spilled drink. His jaw had tightened then, and now his eyes flicked to her, sharp with judgment. He sees it too. Their true colors? Clara and Benedict didn't notice. Too busy bidding, their voices loud, their gestures grand. I sat back, my heart heavy but resolved, waiting for the moment I'd planned. The MC raised the stakes, his voice electric. And now, the highlight of the night, a restored masterpiece, The Lighthouse Keeper, donated by an anonymous benefactor. The crowd murmured, a painting unveiled on stage, its beacon glowing under the lights, a symbol of guidance and hope. Whispers spread about the mystery donor, heads turning. They're curious. Good. I kept my face neutral, but inside my heart raced. This was my moment, my truth ready to break free. Bidding started, paddles flying. Clara called out, 20,000! Her voice commanding, as if the painting was already hers. Benedict raised it, 30! Their confidence unshakable. The price soared, 50, 70, 100,000, each bid fueling their egos. Ivy watched, her face pale, her excitement fading. Why do they always do this? She whispered to Ethan, her voice trembling. He squeezed her hand, but his eyes were on me, searching. I smiled faintly, my silence a shield. Not long now. The sponsor's gaze sharpened, his lips tight as he watched Clara laugh, her voice cutting through the bids. He remembers her cruelty. He's not blind. I'd heard her earlier, dismissing the waitstaff like they were nothing, and I knew he'd seen it too. Benedict leaned toward a guest, boasting, "The Lamberts always set the standard, you know." I rolled my eyes, hidden in my seat. Standard? You set nothing but traps. Their arrogance was a weight, pressing on everyone around them. The MC's voice rose, the bidding slowing as the price hit staggering heights. 150,000. Do I hear more? The room buzzed, eyes darting, waiting for the next move. Clara raised her paddle again, but her smile faltered like she sensed something shifting. I sat still, my heart pounding, my fingers steady on my glass. They think they own this night, but it's mine. The painting, my gift, was more than art. It was a beacon, like the one I'd been for years, unseen. I caught Ivy's eye, her face tight with unease, starting to see her parents' hollow pride. Ethan whispered to her, "It's okay, Ivy, just let it play out." But his eyes were on me, worry mixing with curiosity. He didn't know my plan, didn't know I'd restored that painting, funded it through my Dawnlight Foundation. Soon they all would. The whispers grew louder, guests speculating about the anonymous donor, their voices a hum of excitement. The MC paused, his smile wide, sensing the drama. Before we close the bid, let's invite the donor to reveal themselves. The room hushed, heads turning, eyes scanning. My heart thumped, but my face stayed calm, my smile serene. It's time. I set down my glass, my movements deliberate, ready to step into the light. Clara and Benedict sat smug, unaware, their VIP seats a throne they thought untouchable. Let them shine for one more moment. The real light was about to burn brighter than their gold. The MC's voice echoed, commanding the room's attention. Please welcome the benefactor of the Lighthouse Keeper, Mrs. Liana Morgan, co-founder of the Dawnlight Foundation. The crowd gasped, heads whipping toward me as I rose from my modest seat, my black dress catching the golden stage lights. My heart soared, light as if I'd shed a heavy cloak, no more hiding. I stepped forward, calm, my smile serene, the weight of decades, love, sacrifice, betrayal falling away. Clara and Benedict froze in their VIP seats, their smug expressions cracking. They didn't see this coming. The screen above flashed the Dawnlight Foundation's logo, the same one etched on Ivy's scholarship papers years ago. Ivy's hand flew to her mouth, tears welling, her emerald dress shimmering as she stared at me. Liana, it was you? Her voice broke, raw with realization. I nodded, my eyes soft but steady. Always, Ivy. The room buzzed, whispers rippling as guests connected the dots. My quiet life, my fund, my gift. Ethan's face shifted from shock to shame to pride, his eyes glistening. Mom, I didn't know. Clara's face paled, her crimson gown no longer commanding. Benedict shifted, awkward, his jaw tight. Their throne was crumbling. They thought I was nothing. And now the room knows better. The main sponsor, the billionaire in the simple suit, stood suddenly, his voice cutting through the murmurs. In light of earlier behavior, the Lambert family's VIP privileges are revoked. Gasps spread, heads turning to Clara, who'd snapped at the waitstaff earlier. Her eyes widened, her hand clutching Benedict's arm. Justice? Without a word from me, Ethan stood, his voice steady but heavy. I'm sorry, Mom. I should have trusted you. His apology warmed my heart, my gentle boy stepping into his courage. I squeezed his hand, my smile warm. You're learning, Ethan. That's enough. Ivy rose next, her voice trembling but clear, holding a small card. I need to say something. The room quieted, all eyes on her as she read the family code, her words echoing with newfound strength. Respect others, no matter their wealth. Never use money to control. Don't belittle anyone's roots to lift yourself. Keep gratitude as the foundation of happiness. Each line landed like a stone, heavy with truth. Clara and Benedict bowed their heads, silent, their arrogance stripped bare before the crowd. Ivy's voice shook but held, her eyes on me, grateful. She's found her voice, because of me. The applause was soft at first, then thunderous, not for Clara's showy pledges, but for the truth we'd all felt. I stepped off the stage, my heart light, my steps steady, no more masks. I left the gala quietly, the chandeliers fading behind me, the night air cool against my skin. I'd come to hold a mirror to their hearts, and they'd seen themselves, Clara's control, Benedict's hollow pride, my son's growth, Ivy's awakening. I was free. 3 days later, Ivy knocked on my door, her dress simple, her eyes bright but nervous. Liana, thank you for the scholarship, for everything. She sat across from me at my plain wooden table, no pretense between us. I want to learn how to be rich without being noisy, to love without control. Her words were earnest, her goodness shining through, no longer shadowed by her parents. I smiled, my heart warm, like sunlight after a long storm. That's the beginning of freedom, Ivy. I leaned back, my voice thoughtful, confessional. True wealth isn't in what you show. It's in what you do, how you treat others when no one's watching. I thought of the years, the betrayals, the quiet work that had led to this moment. It's never too late to find your dignity, to choose kindness over control. Ivy nodded, her eyes clear, like she was seeing the world anew. I forgave Clara and Benedict in my heart, not for them, but for me to let go of the hurt. The room felt light, the weight of the gala gone. You'll learn, Ivy, by doing what feels true, not loud. She smiled, a spark of hope in her eyes, and I knew she'd carry it forward. My fund, my work, had touched her life, and now she'd touch others. That's the legacy I'd always wanted. As she left, I sat alone, my heart full, the mirror I'd held up reflecting not just their flaws but my strength. True wealth doesn't need to be seen. It's felt in every quiet act of love. Well, that's my story. My heart laid bare, from years of quiet strength to a night that changed everything. Did you like my story? What city are you from? See me in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you felt something, support me with super thanks so I can keep sharing stories like this. Thank you so much for your amazing support. I'm so excited to read your comments. On screen, you'll see 2 new real-life stories I highly recommend. There are tons more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next story. With all love and respect.